The ancient Egyptians are known for their many gods, be that in human form, animal form, or even ambiguous. Yet in modern times, the public perception is that all ancient Egyptians, royal and common, worshipped one animal in particular, the domestic cat. Known as the goddess Bastet. But was this actually the reality? I am searching for the facts on cat worship in ancient Egypt. From the tombs,
dogs were given names where cats were not,
and scattered treasures all around the world. And I explore an ancient forgotten city high up in the Nile Delta dedicated to the cat, Bubastis. There is only one known scene of a pharaoh worshipping Bastet, a city that was written about by many ancient historians as a feminine stronghold, and even mentioned in the Bible as a site where Jesus once lived. I hear firsthand from my friend and cat mummy expert, Salima Ikram, what was really going on with cat priests. I know you are a big cat lover, especially of the mummified variety.
Dead cats at best.
Did the pharaohs really worship the cat? Why are there so many cat mummies being discovered? And why was the city of the cat torn to the ground? Come with me, Curtis Ryan Woodside, in my search for the ancient cat goddess.
You're a cat.
Okay.
And
Meow.
you are meow.
In the modern world, there seems to be this huge craze for all things related to cats. People spend hours watching viral cat videos, and of course, they are the second most popular pets to have after the dog. And it's this modern craze that has led to some interesting untruths about the cat in ancient Egypt. I start my feline journey up north in the Nile Delta, in a remote ancient city known as Bubastis. This derelict city was one of the most populated in all of ancient Egypt, dating back to the Old Kingdom around 4,500 years ago. Bubastis was known as the birthplace of the cat goddess Bastet. This myth probably originates from local farmers along this fertile stretch who began to domesticate cats and keep them in their homes to help fend off rats and other vermin. This is, after all, one of the functions of Bastet. The Egyptians often saw the personality trait in certain animals and made them into gods to ensure that the qualities they valued could be harnessed. A cat fending off rats and snakes from the home was certainly something they wanted to harness. Much like the goddess Sekhmet, who could protect from poisons and bites, symbolized by the scorpion. However, the worship of the cat seems to rarely stem in the Old Kingdom from the lioness goddess Sekhmet. Sekhmet had several personality traits, and thus the calm side of Sekhmet was split off into the miniature version of the lioness, the cat. This shift of Sekhmet's calm side rarely appears to have been a practice more of farmers, commoners, and housewives, rather than royals and priests. In the Middle Kingdom, Pharaoh Amenemhat III had built a palace at Bubastis in around 1800 BC. This was probably because of the high concentration of women living in the city. This pharaoh had a penchant for his harem women. This could be the origin of the cat being associated with sexual acts. Known as wandering the marshes, seen in tombs shortly after Amenemhat built this palace. This scene from a nobleman's tomb illustrates this best. The man hunting on a boat, his wife beautifully dressed behind him, his daughter picking lotus flowers, and a cat on the boat with them, helping to catch the birds. From the New Kingdom, a grand temple was built at Bubastis. This temple was started by Amenhotep III, where he also inserted the Temple of Amun, rather than dedicate it to Bastet. Then around 1280 BC, Pharaoh Ramses II built the Temple of Bastet at Bubastis. The large temple contained many Ramesside attributes. However, this act of building the Bastet temple is probably more of a vanity project for Ramses. Building a cat temple for the people in the city of the Cat would make the inhabitants of one of the most populated delta cities rather like the pharaoh, whose origins came from a delta city of non-royal descent. Ramses probably didn't worship the cat in the form of Bastet much. Even if he didn't need Bastet, she was still a goddess of a larger common folk, and being a goddess, he still had to venerate her as part of the plethora of gods. Ramses wanted to be seen with as many gods as possible. In fact, there is only one known scene of a pharaoh worshipping Bastet, and it comes from Bubastis.
The reason why you see me climbing up this rock is because we have this image of the cat goddess Bastet. It was originally up here, someone's pushed it down, probably the Christians when they came to destroy this temple. But here is the cat goddess Bastet, shown with Ramses II giving her an offering of what looks like to be bread in a bread mold. But because this is the cat goddess, maybe he should have been giving her an offering of milk. So, at least I can see Bastet from this angle. We have found Bastet again. On this column, on the other side, we can see her name written, Bastet. But here, we can see the beautiful cat goddess shown seated on a throne.
It was known as one of the most beautiful temples in Egypt, probably because Ramses had input on its construction from his daughter. Bubastis was, after all, a mainly feminine city, therefore he installed a giant statue of her. The great royal wife and daughter of Pharaoh Ramses II, Meret Amun, the woman that replaced Queen Nefertari when Nefertari died. She's standing here at the city where the cat was worshipped, Bubastis, and she's absolutely monumental. The back of the statue of Meret Amun has been altered. A pharaoh from the 22nd dynasty changed the royal name to suit his wife, Koromama. This pharaoh was Shoshank, who had set up a residence in Bubastis in 943 BC. Shoshank's son did not stay in Bubastis long when he came to the throne. However, he would have grown up here, which is why some incredible pieces of jewelry were found in his tomb, some pieces from his reign are clearly influenced by his time at Bubastis, with pendants showing the cat and other feline deities. In 450 BC, the city of Bastet intrigued the Greek historian Herodotus. He traveled to the city to experience the festival of the cat firsthand. He wrote that the temple was the most beautiful of all Egypt. Many boats arrived at the city, carrying men and women, mostly women though. The women sang and played instruments while lifting their dresses. The men played flutes. He estimated that 700,000 people descended upon the temple. Herodotus also states that the most amount of wine was consumed at the festival at Bubastis than any other during the year. Shortly after the birth of Jesus, during the Holy Family's flee into the safety of Egypt, their first place of rest was in fact Bubastis. When the child Jesus, Mary and Joseph arrived in Bubastis, they asked the locals for sustenance and shelter. Being preoccupied with the preparations for the Bastet festival the following day, they refused. The child Jesus blessed the land, and a water spring emerged from the ground. Jesus said that all who drink from the well shall be forgiven. One local woman heard this. She drank from the water and her legs were healed. This farmer's wife offered them refuge. The next day, the Holy Family accompanied the farmer and his wife to the festival. Jesus entered the temple, and the cat statue fell to the ground, fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah. Bubastis was a large city, and what we see today is only 1/8 of what it once was. The temple's inner sanctuary plinth is still partly intact, and would have once supported a small golden statue of Bastet, similar to remaining ones found around the site. She was shown as a woman with the head of a cat. She wears a fully covered dress and a very large collar necklace. In one hand, she holds the sistrum with the face of Hathor and a kitten inside. On the other, she holds the standard of herself with the face of a cat and the crown of the sun disk, connecting her to her father Ra.
This is the altar where a statue of Bastet would stand and the people would come to worship her. The high priestess would come to worship her right here. But Bubastis is actually a much larger site. This is a map of when the site was first excavated. We can see we are here in the temple. Right over there is the mud brick fort. We have the pottery. As we go down, we have the causeway going straight across here, leading to the statue of Meret Amun. And around this temple, all the way around, are mud brick houses where priests and locals lived. Bastet was the local goddess of this region. This site where Mary and Jesus came and rested has now been completely destroyed. It's very sad, actually, that a place that gave refuge to the Holy Family was then written about in the Bible and mentioned as Bubastis, where it says that this city will be brought to the ground for its pagan worship. Well, standing here at the city of the cat, it is completely to the ground.
During the Christian Crusades in 1154, the soldiers sought out to fulfill this prophecy. They entered Bubastis and tore the ancient city and temple down. So we can say that the pharaohs didn't worship the cat as people assume today. But what of the common people? What evidence can we find of their devotion to Bastet? It is true to say that dogs were not worshipped in the same way as cats were. Anubis, the jackal-headed god, was from the Canid family after all. Dogs were more than often kept as pets. Pet cats were never given names the way that we do today. All cats were referred to by their ancient Egyptian name, meow, after the sound they make, possibly because of their connection to Bastet and Sekhmet. Dogs were another story though. At Saqqara, we can see why.
Into the tomb of Mehu. As I've said many times before, cats were not the majority of domestic animal. The majority that people had were dogs, and dogs were given names where cats were not.
As on this 12th dynasty coffin, the owner is seen with his dog, and his dog's pet name is written alongside. At Saqqara, there are many scenes that show everyday life with the Egyptian countryside. Amongst the reeds and birds lurks a cat waiting for its prey. The Egyptians were experts at observing everyday details that we take for granted today. Many of these everyday examples can be found further south in Luxor. The village of Deir el-Medina. This was a secretive, yet active settlement set up by the pharaohs from the 18th dynasty onwards to house the men who built the elaborate royal tombs. Deir el-Medina was a thriving hub and gives us an unprecedented insight into domestic life. Often men would go away for 10 days at a time to work on the royal tombs, leaving the women and children at the village. The woman would keep pet cats to help keep rats and snakes away, which is why Bastet was seen as a goddess to help keep domestic bliss, and a protector of women, much like modern women in Egypt do today.
Oh, it looks amazing.
In tombs of these men and women at the village, they sometimes showed their pets, from dogs, monkeys, geese, and of course, cats. However, the cats were always shown under the chair of the lady of the house. The men of Deir el-Medina often drew little sketches on spare pieces of flat stone called ostraca. They practiced drawing cats. This piece shows a cat with a bearded foreign man behind. Sometimes they depicted local folk tales lost to time, showing satirical fable-style scenes of mice and cats performing duties of pharaohs and priests. Some papyri survive of these fables, but most of the text is missing, leaving us in the dark about these specific ancient fairy tales. There is, however, another cat goddess from this area of Egypt. Different to Bastet in the Delta, Pakhet was a more ferocious form of cat. Again associated with the lioness Sekhmet, she had a temple at El-Medina, built by the female pharaoh Hatshepsut in 1480 BC. Pakhet looks different from the usual form of domestic cat. She is shown in some of the noble tombs at Beni Hassan, and back at Deir el-Medina, the workers there included Pakhet in their tombs. A pet Pakhet is usually shown with a lead and a collar, as this cat was very dangerous. So dangerous that she became a protector in the afterlife and is shown in their papyri and tombs killing a demon snake with a dagger. This cat has strange long ears. Pakhet is in fact a caracal, one of the most fierce small felines. At the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, a later dynasty pharaoh named Nectanebo is actually shown in the company of Pakhet, in a form of a woman with a caracal head. Yet on this piece, there is a woman nursing a child in front of two Hathor pillars, and by the pillars sit two Bastet cats. This could symbolize Bubastis. A few hours north of Bubastis, in ancient Tanis, this site even more in ruin than Bubastis. It contains an obscure 21st dynasty pharaoh's tomb from 1047 BC. The tomb was shared with Pharaoh Sheshonq and belonged to Pharaoh Susanes. That's better. You get
Right
the
there,
shadow. Yeah.
Okay. I'll fix it in post.
In the tomb, we can see Susanes before the goddess, the cat goddess, Pakhet. In Luxor, at the royal tombs built by the men from Deir el-Medina, such as this tomb built for the son of Ramses III, we find examples of more ferocious feline deities. A male lion guardian, and on another wall is a cat with the name spelled out, Meow. She guards Gate 12 of the underworld. In the tomb of Nefertari is a ferocious guardian in the form of a lioness wielding a knife with two snakes on her head. In the tomb of Pharaoh Siptah, however, is a smaller form of feline. She is shown as Meow, protecting a gate. Cats and particularly large felines were connected to the god Ra and Sekhmet, like the ferocious Pakhet. Bastet, however, did have a son. Her mythological child was known as the male lion god of war, a god that Ramses II revered and named his pet lion after. Further south, along Lake Nasser at a temple named Deir built by Ramses II, we can see that he gave his pet lion an actual name, unlike commoners who only named their cat Meow. Ramses II in battle, smiting his enemies before Amun. But here is Ramses' pet lion. This is Ma-Hes, the pet lion that's depicted at Bait al-Wali and Abu Simbel, and here at Deir. This lion was trained by the Nubians and brought to Ramses as a gift. We can see Ma-Hes' name written here at the top with the determinative of a lion. Ramses gave this lion an identity, and the name means the one who is beside him. This lion shone beside the great pharaoh. The cult of the cat had spread into Greece and into Italy, arriving in Pompeii. Some of the frescoes from this ancient site that are so well preserved after the eruption of Mount Vesuvius show priests, particularly Egyptian priests, performing ceremonies. These priests are holding sistrums, and behind them we can even see cats lurking about. Some sistra and statues of cats were found at the Temple of Isis in Pompeii and are now on display in the museum in Naples. We do know of two examples of pet cats from minor royal tombs. The uncle of Tutankhamun had his pet cat buried with him and placed into its own stone sarcophagus. The side of this artifact shows the clear glyph spelling out the the cat's general name, meow. The larger felines were more closely associated with the royals. At Saqqara, in the tomb of Maya, the wet nurse of Tutankhamun, a mummified lion was discovered, again showing that royals were more connected to the larger felines.
Let's get under cover. It's raining. Get under cover.
Also in the Cairo Museum are the treasures from Tiye and Yuya. They have an exquisite golden chair of Princess Sit Amun, with a pet cat sitting under the chair of Queen Tiye. Queen Tiye was one of the strongest queens in ancient Egypt. She was married to Pharaoh Amenhotep III in 1390 BC. She was often shown in a feline sphinx form and became associated with the lioness goddess Mut. In Luxor, within the largest temple complex in the world, at Karnak, Amenhotep III built this temple and dedicated it to the wife of the all-powerful god, Amun. Her name was Mut. Amenhotep III, shown here in the Temple of Mut. Amun on earth, Queen Tiye would be Mut on earth. And this temple here was constructed and begun by the great pharaoh Amenhotep III. She was generally appearing as a woman, but in some instances she was connected to the lioness Sekhmet. The Temple of Mut features the most amount of statues of the goddess Sekhmet, the lioness goddess. The reason for this is that one of the forms of the goddess Mut was a lioness. You see, the ferocious side of the lioness was Sekhmet, but to appease Sekhmet, they would feed her beer dyed red with ochre, so that she would think it was blood. Once Sekhmet had drank the blood, she became calm, the mother figure, which is Mut. So it makes sense to have the two sides of the lioness worshipped in this temple. The festival of Sekhmet here at the Mut temple is strikingly similar to the Bastet festival that took place in Bubastis. Sekhmet shown here, holding a papyrus or a lotus plant, and the Ankh, the key of life, with the crown of Mut, with the several cobras all around. This was a temple started by Amenhotep III. This was a statue made by Amenhotep III. Yet on the side is the name of a Libyan named Sheshank. Sheshank, who as we know had a residence at Bubastis, wrote about his many accomplishments at Karnak. On one wall, he writes about how he defended Egypt from Judah, and in particular, defended Bubastis. He lists 156 regions that he defeated. Many of these conquests of Sheshank are also written about in the Bible. Just adjacent, from the columns of Taharqa, here we have another pharaoh of non-Egyptian birth. This is Sheshank, a Libyan pharaoh from the 22nd dynasty, ruling the Delta. This pylon is clearly an extension. We can see the wall here, built by Sheshank, yet next to him, at a vertical line, we can see that this would have been the end of a pylon, extended out, made much grander, and you can even see the god Montu cut off from the wall of Sheshank that has clearly not even been finished. Because the priests had other plans. Although by the time of Sheshank, Egypt was divided, with priests ruling in Thebes, while foreign Libyan descendants such as Sheshonq ruled in the delta. The divide started back at the time of Ramses IX. There are some scenes at Karnak which reveal what was going on. We see the pharaoh over here with a priest, the priest being adorned with gold, a similar scene that we see on Lake Nasser in the tomb of Penaut, with lower-level priests giving thanks to the high priest. This is a very telling scene because the pharaoh is shown here on the same scale as the priest. They've put the pharaoh on a little platform to just raise him that little bit extra so the pharaoh would not notice immediately this is a cover-up. But on this wall, they have made pharaoh and high priest the exact same scale. The hands are touching on the same level. They are here indeed equals. And this is where we start to see the priests take a higher interest in politics. The priests start to take back their own. With Ramses IX now ruling the delta, Herihor, a high priest, ruled over Thebes. The priests took up control. This also trickled down into Bubastis. Around 747 BC, priests in Bubastis and Saqqara were selling cat mummies to general pilgrims to be offered to Bastet for protection and a peaceful domestic life. There have been thousands, if not millions, of cat mummies discovered in Saqqara and Bubastis. Some quite simple, and some very well wrapped and even decorated with their facial features painted on. In museums all around the world, you can find cat mummies. In Bologna in Italy, some cat mummies are even placed into large cat-shaped coffins with glass inlaid eyes, as well as the magical and spiritual instruments known as sistrums. These were actually used at Bubastis during the festival days. Many of these feature small cat figurines around the instrument. In France at the Louvre, many cat statues can be found from the late period. These show cats in various moments, like playing with their young. What's really interesting here is this is a statue of the goddess Bastet, protecting her baby kittens. She has the body of a cat and the head of a young woman. It is so beautiful, so interesting that she's depicted like this. In Cairo, there are so many cat statues on display in various poses. All of the cat statues were found at Saqqara and Bubastis, in homes and tombs. There is a private home, now a museum, that belonged to an Irishman, containing a piece of the cat's history from ancient Egypt, discovered in the late 1800s.
The famous Geir Anderson cat of Bastet. It is just absolutely beautiful to see this cat decorated with the ears, having the feather of Ma'at inside, the eye of Horus, Khepri scarab, and the Khepri scarab on the forehead. A beautiful representation of Bastet.
Because Bubastis was such a populated city, there have been many artifacts discovered in the homes and surrounding tombs, so much so that there is a museum on site to display the finds. From coins showing Alexander the Great, terracotta statues of Alexander, Aphrodite, and even a camel. Statues of Pharaoh Zamtik, who showed himself in the presence of Pakhet. Biblical artifacts showing its Christian connection. High-quality Egyptian jewelry. And it goes without saying, many, many cat amulets and statues. The priests were making big money on the cat cult in Bubastis, but something was not right. By the time that the Greeks were in Egypt, around 300 BC, the priests who were selling these cat mummies were being evasive with the truth about their cat mummy sales, oblivious to the general public. I've come to meet up with a very special lady, a very dear friend of mine, who is an expert on animal mummies. Salima.
Curtis,
Hello.
sweetie. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Are you enjoying the football?
I am actually. It's
Are you ready?
fascinating.
Are you ready for some questions?
I am.
Salima, I am investigating the worship of cats in ancient Egypt. And I know you are a big cat lover, especially of the mummified variety.
Dead cats at best.
You know, I've noticed that there's a lot of mummified cats being offered to Bastet. Now, are you of the opinion that the priests were deliberately diddling the cat mummies with not putting complete cats inside, or what was the reason for that?
So we have things that we call amalgam or false mummies, because with whether they're ibises or cats or what have you, or raptors, sometimes there's a bit
Yes.
of a cat in it.
For the essence?
No.
No.
You asked the question, I'll answer it.
Okay.
So, first, one thing is they were diddling the punters. Second thing is that a part represents the whole in ancient Egypt, and if you say the words, then it magically becomes a cat inside. And then the third thing is that if you've mummified things, and I have done experimental work with animals with my students, bits fall off.
Yes.
They're sacred, and you might think, oh, bloody hell, the cat's already been mummified without that bit, but we will gather together all these parts and make another mummy out of it because it's sacred, because it's been transformed.
Yes.
And so those are the three main reasons why we think this might have happened.
Okay, so there was no wastage.
No,
wastage.
waste not, want not.
Exactly.
Very Victorian.
But with the cat worship, what do you think is some of the biggest misconceptions that the modern public has about cat worship in ancient Egypt?
I think modern people think that the ancient Egyptians worshipped all cats, which is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
They liked them, but they worshipped the ones that were supposed to be sacred.
Yes.
So the idea was that, you're a cat,
Okay.
and
Meow.
you are meow, and the special markings set you apart from other cats. So the priests feel that the spirit of the goddess Bastet has entered you.
Okay.
Then during your lifetime, you were worshipped, you were made much of, and it was lovely.
Yes.
You died, you were beautifully mummified. The spirit would migrate into the body of another cat. And it's very much like the Dalai Lama,
Yes.
where you have one Lama spirit going through millennia.
And it transcends into the next.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh wow, that is quite incredible.
Yeah.
Why do you? I've noticed we don't really see a pharaoh worshipping a cat. Why?
We see him
is
worshipping
that?
bulls mainly.
Yes. Or Sekhmet, or
Well, no, Sekhmet, but Sekhmet had cats being
Yeah.
offered to her,
Yeah.
as did Bastet.
she did.
But I mean,
Okay.
it's dependent on where you are. The Bubastis obviously is for cats.
Yes.
But you have to remember the late period of Egyptian history and religion. A lot of these goddesses and gods fused together. So you have different manifestations of Sekhmet and Bastet and Mut, all being shown as a cat or a lioness, something feline.
Yes. And with the worship of these cats, were cat mummies offered to Bastet, or were those given to the people to then go and offer? What was the process there?
A good question. We think, this is our hypothesis, this is our
Yes.
model, is that, okay, you want to be lucky in love
Okay.
or music, and you think, I am going to the temple of Bastet.
Yeah.
Instead of offering her a statue or a stela, which is inanimate. You will
Yes.
do something that is far more dramatic. You will make a blood sacrifice. And so you will offer an animal that is associated
Ah,
with that deity
okay.
to the deity.
Yes.
And and sometimes these animals were actually killed.
Yeah, like
The
totally.
neck was wrung, or they were bashed in the head,
Because there's that image of Akhenaten breaking the neck of a goose.
which is, they were
And
all
he's-
food offerings.
That was just a food offering. Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah.
But then a blood sacrifice counts.
Yeah.
You have it in the modern monotheistic religions as well.
Exactly. Drinking the
mean-
blood of Christ. It's got a.
It counts for more. I mean, Christianity is the most extreme. When they actually they killed the Son of God.
Yes.
Whereas at least in Judaism and Islam, they put a ram instead of the child.
Okay. Yeah. A symbol.
Yes.
Yeah. So these cat mummies are symbols.
Well, they're symbols, but they are sort of, and they also act as intercessors.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the Egyptians believed that animals they had magic,
Yes.
powers.
Yeah.
They could speak the language of the gods. So you had the gods' world, the humans' world, and animals were in the liminal space,
Okay.
and they could interact between the two.
Okay. Well, that is really, really fascinating. Thank you for just, giving me a little bit more info in my investigation about this, because I see so many of these people online, they think cats were the be-all and end-all in ancient Egypt. That's totally not true.
No, but
No.
they were
At one
admired
point,
because they're
yeah,
beautiful.
Exactly.
And even now in Egypt, actually, cats are very popular, and you'll find people just in the streets feeding cats left, right, and center.
Yeah. Well, that love hasn't died.
Nope.
At Saqqara, a later cat cult center is yielding more answers. Just a few hundred meters away from the Djoser Pyramid lies the Bubastis. In recent years, archaeologists have discovered thousands of cat mummies here. During the Roman period, the cat craze began to fade away. The worship of cats, in particular Bastet, seems to have reached its pinnacle around 300 AD. What this journey has taught me is something I always wanted to clear up. The fact that the pharaohs and royals in general did not worship the cat goddess Bastet. It was not the craze that people today make it out to be. Bastet was, however, a big deal for the everyday people. She was so much more than a goddess or a pet. For these working men, and particularly women, Bastet was a symbol of the perfect being, calm and serene, but weary of danger. She was a sign of how we know cats to conduct themselves: independence. With pharaohs and priests controlling so much of daily life, I think they saw Bastet as the icon of self-reliance, something maybe the people of Egypt were yearning for. Bastet was the people's goddess.
We still have all of this to do. Pharaoh. Pero is the glyph for Pharaoh.
Oh my God.
Right there is Pharaoh. Oh, we still have so far to go, Lami.
Yes, it's so far.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Are you okay?
Oh my God.
This is Sinai, a peninsula of land between Egypt and the Red Sea. For the religious, Sinai is most well known for the story of Moses. However, Sinai has been inhabited by the ancient Egyptians since the pre-dynastic period, over 6,000 years ago. Today, this arid landscape is home to the Egyptian Bedouin people who eke out a living in a place that has almost no vegetation and even less rain. However, this region has a place that was very important to the pharaohs, a place that was sacred to one goddess in particular, the temple at Serabit El Khadim, dedicated to the goddess Hathor, or more specifically, Hathor, the Lady of Turquoise. For you see, this area was home to the precious sky blue stone. Hathor may be a fairly unknown goddess to those who aren't interested in Egyptian history compared to others. Yet, to the ancient Egyptians, she was probably one of the most revered deities of all time, sometimes even eclipsing the great goddess Isis. And in later periods, the goddesses were even combined to create one ultimate icon. Hathor was linked to many aspects: love, beauty, music, dance, and protection. When the god Horus was feuding with his uncle Set, trying to avenge the murder of his father Osiris, the devious Set was able to stab out one of Horus's eyes during one of their many battles. The goddess Hathor then crafted a new eye for Horus, an eye which she infused her powers into to always protect Horus. Eventually, Horus avenged his father's murder by defeating Set and becoming king of the land of Egypt. He then married Hathor, and thus each king and queen to rule Egypt thereafter were to be seen as the reincarnation of both Hathor and Horus. The site of Serabit El Khadim was used for thousands of years to mine copper and the sacred stone linked to the protective powers of Hathor, turquoise. This stone was used to decorate furniture, used in paints, but most importantly, to make exceptional jewelry. Apart from decorating the living, turquoise also decorated the dead. On many death masks, we can find turquoise inlays around the neck. It was out here in this extreme, remote site that some of the stones were mined to decorate one of the most famous pieces of ancient Egyptian art ever, the golden death mask of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. The ancients were so fascinated by the stones of Hathor that they invented the blue faience as a way to imitate the blue color for jewels, statues, and even burial equipment, like the beaded net dress that linked the dead to Hathor. But why would a goddess who was there to celebrate the joy of life be connected to the dead? In the New Kingdom, in some cases, Hathor becomes the Lady of the West, replacing the role of Anubis to lead you through the journey into the afterlife. And thus, if you had some turquoise with you, it would indicate to Hathor that you worshipped her in life, and thus she would be more inclined to help you reach heaven. My name is Curtis Ryan Woodside. I'm a filmmaker and Egyptologist. For years now, I have been fascinated with Serabit El Khadim, its remoteness from any form of modern life, and the secrets it may hold about the ancient Egyptian history. Yet this place is so remote that most Egyptologists have never been there, and the recording and the study of this place is remarkably minuscule. Now I am setting out on an expedition to reach the Temple of Hathor and the turquoise mines, hiking up the 850-meter or the 2,788-foot-high mountain in Sinai to finally reveal the many secrets of this place and to track down the earliest beginnings of our modern alphabet, the script known as Proto-Sinaitic. Little did I know that this would be one of the most challenging and dangerous expeditions of my life. Join me as we search for the secrets of the Lady of Turquoise in Sinai. It's going to be quite the adventure. Our journey starts early morning in Giza. We take a 380-kilometer drive over 6 hours to reach Serabit El Khadim. When you see a shop like this along the road, because it is so remote, it is important to stop and stock up on the essentials. After a few hours, we reach Oyun Musa, which is a security checkpoint between Egypt and Sinai.
We are on our way to Sinai. We've just crossed the Suez Canal. So we are now actually in Sinai, and we are going to Serabit El Khadim.
Yes.
So I have Lami with me, I have Sabat with me.
I've been traveling with Lami for 9 years now.
Yes, 9 years of fun and knowledge and music and meet intelligent and idiots as well.
Adventures,
Yeah.
yeah. Mashi.
matter how long we take.
Yalla.
Let's go.
It's shocking how crossing from just one area to the next gives you a completely new and different landscape. You'll be hard pushed to find another car along this road. Though after a couple of hours, these smooth tar roads will soon be ending, and we'll have a more rough terrain.
Saber know the roads in desert very well, so he will have U-turn, and we used madag. Madag, it's mean a very difficult road with no asphalt. So we will be in the mountains for like 1 hour, like 30 kilometers, drive in very difficult road. Do you see this car there? Come from this road, but it's Toyota, like they have like high locks. Very easy for it. Bedouin, they are Bedouin. Anyone in a car like that, Bedouin. 90%. So, yeah, Kabir. طلعنا عليك.
It's hard to believe that there are thousands of Bedouin people living throughout Sinai, living in very harsh conditions, some even worse than these landscapes we're passing now. It's been their way of life for thousands of years.
Great, Saber.
Saber lets the air pressure out of the tires as we now approach a very deteriorated, old tar road.
Maya man fadlak.
هنا.
How do I open this thing? There we go. Shukran.
عفوا.
There's just something about this deserted place that is so picturesque. Finally, we found our Bedouin hosts that we'll be camping with for the night.
Yeah, but, oh, this is Turtle Mountain. You see? It seems like turtle.
The symbol of the turtle was worshipped even as far back as King Narmer during the First Dynasty in 3100 BC. In 1906, a cylinder seal with the name of Pharaoh Narmer showing a turtle was found. Camels are some of my favorite animals, and contrary to the myth, they have been living in Egypt for thousands of years since pharaonic times, especially here in the wilds of Sinai.
Almost there.
After 6 hours, we finally reached our Bedouin camp, and I was quite surprised it had quite a few more mud cons than I was expecting. We have time for just a little relax before the big expedition begins.
Cheers, Amadeo. Cheers.
Cheers, Sabe.
We start climbing from we take the car to drive a little bit in the sand.
Okay.
It's the short way to go up.
Yeah.
And then we see the temple. Right.
Ahmed, Abdullah.
Up we go.
Yalla bina.
For now, we say goodbye to the Land Cruiser as they leave us with our 9-year-old guide to go up the mountain. My sense of anticipation is building, thinking about going up the steep cliffs of this 850-meter mountain.
Walk up the mountain to get to the temple of Hathor here at Serabit El Khadim. It's really hot. It's really dry. There's nothing around. Let's hope we make it.
Too hot. We have a very young guy. He's a guide. The Bedouin know each inch of their land, but I trust him. He seems intelligent from how he's look.
Serabit El Khadim was discovered in 1162 by Danish explorer Carsten Niebuhr. He was told about the site by the local Bedouin people, who then called the site Garabe. Can you just imagine the arduous task taken on by Carsten Niebuhr and his team to come and see this unexplored place 863 years ago? I've been preparing for this for months, as mountain hiking and dangling on the edge of cliffs are not really my thing.
Okay. You know, Curtis,
Yeah.
I'm very stupid to wear dresses like that.
I know, look at your shoes.
Oh my God, my shoes and my band.
Oh my God. We have to go up all the way there. This is not fun. And I feel real empathy for the ancient workers that had to come here. In the middle of nowhere, no water, no food, all to get turquoise for the Pharaoh.
So far, it's been a gradual ascent, but now the dangerous part begins, and the camera just doesn't capture the steepness of this mountain.
You know, I'm starting to understand why less and less people come to this temple. It's not easy.
Really, I feel I'm so stupid. Cannot get like a much better dress. I feel like the most stupid guy in the world. I'm suffering.
Look, you put the itinerary.
Me, but I not interfere. You know how to read the hieroglyphs. You know the sculpture in Egypt. You know the temples. I don't interfere.
But this is your idea.
We have been like walking for 1 hour on the land and like half hour on the mountain. I didn't even dress up. Really?
I blame you.
No, blame yourself, please.
Although the regret soon wears off as we have almost reached the summit. Some of this landscape might seem familiar to you. That is because Cecil B. DeMille, the film director, and actor Charlton Heston came to Sinai in the 1950s to film some of the scenes for the Ten Commandments, and one of the places they visited was this area. Before we reach the summit, we see a particular plant. This plant is called the elbus, and it is known as the burning bush of Moses, being able to live in extreme arid conditions. It also contains a sap which is self-combusting with the correct amount of heat, and the fumes from this sap can cause hallucinations. After the discovery by Castanhiber in 1162, this site became quite the sensation. However, many Egyptologists did not dare to make the trip. With the newly deciphered hieroglyphs, this site would take on a new meaning. Englishman David Roberts came here in 1839.
After 2.5 hours up the mountain, we are here at Serabit El Khadim, and we are greeted by the beautiful face of the goddess of this place, Hathor. But Hathor, I need 5 minutes.
Hathor, the beautiful goddess of this mountain, lies just a few meters away from the main temple itself. She is here because a couple of years ago, a man from a country north of Sinai decided he wanted this piece for his own collection. He sent in a helicopter to try and lift it. However, they only moved it a few meters. Luckily, being intercepted by the Egyptian government, his entire operation ended in a failure.
Finally, after 2.5 hours climbing the mountain, I found Hathor, the goddess of this place, was human face and cow's ears, and we can read the name of Nefertari, my favorite pharaoh, Hatshepsut III.
And this pile of rubble is the Temple of Hathor at Serabit El Khadim. The name means the columns of the servants. The original name comes from the Ottoman word garabe, which means strange. The name was changed because of inscriptions here linking this site to Semitic peoples, and falsely linking it to the biblical people of the Exodus. The temple was then excavated in 1905 by Sir Flinders Petrie. Apart from documenting over 30 Proto-Sinaitic inscriptions, he found many incredible objects, including one of my favorites.
A little bust, exactly like this. This is a cast, obviously. But this little bust is of Queen Tiye, the mother of Akhenaten. And it was a tiny little bust like this same bust, which is now in the Cairo Museum. But it was found here at Serabit El Khadim. And, you know, it's amazing to think that Queen Tiye, her husband, Pharaoh Amenhotep III, mined so much turquoise for her to have. And she had this votive statue placed here at the temple. She has 2 cobras on her forehead, showing her importance. Her little name inscribed above. And, you know, I think it's great to excavate and find things and put them in museums for people to see. But I might just leave Queen Tiye here, you know, bring her back to the place where this little one was found. Actually, I'm going to take her with me because I don't want to confuse some archaeologist in about 10 years' time. This is where we are, Serabit El Khadim. Now, if you look here, we have arrived from this smaller side, and all of these are smaller chambers going through to the main part of the temple. And all the way back, we come to the cave of Hathor and the Pharaohs, where the gods of this area were worshipped. Now, we have a lot of interesting things that were found here, particularly relating to Proto-Sinaitic language. We have this sphinx believed to be Akhenaten. It says place of Hathor, Merit, and then underneath we have Proto-Sinaitic. Proto-Sinaitic is one of the oldest forms that we have of the alphabet. It started around the Middle Kingdom, around 1900 BC, during the reign of Sesostris III. And this language was developed by the Canaanites and the Assyrians that were living here, and was taken away by the Phoenicians and given to Greece. And some of that language has been adapted into our now alphabet that we use. So actually the origins of the alphabet come from this place right here. Now, this is also a bust of Queen Tiye that was discovered. We can see the name of the queen up here. Now, she was connected to the goddess Hathor, which is why we have her here. This comes from a later period during the reign of Ramses II. We have Hathor depicted here, found in the cave of Hathor. Next, this is probably the most interesting. It is a scribal statue, and it has Proto-Sinaitic in here. The lady, her name is Baalt, and it says the lady has died, and it's giving a prayer to the god of the Assyrians, which is shown as a man with a fish body and a human head. And actually we can see over here, here's one of these type of scribal statues right here. Although this one is quite damaged, we can still see the hands up here. So this would have been something like this. And from the side we can see more prayers to this Assyrian god in a very strange mix of Egyptian hieroglyphs and a Semitic language. Also found here is Ramses II's daughter, Bintanath. And Bintanath is a Semitic name because the goddess Anath that we see here, this goddess comes from, the Semitic peoples. So that's why Ramses had himself and his daughter depicted in this place in Sinai. These are some of the copper and wooden tools that were found here at Serabit El Khadim. It's incredible to think that this is how the men here mined the turquoise, with simple tools like this. And this is currently in the British Museum. So there's so many interesting things from this area. And we know that Serabit El Khadim comes from as far back as the 4th dynasty. A broken statue of a falcon has been found here with the name of Sneferu, although he has his titles included in his name. So he's Nefer Neter, Neb Tawi Sen Neferu. So the beautiful god, the Lord of the Two Lands, Sneferu. And this is the father of the man that built the Great Pyramid. And he came here and put his mark all those thousands of years ago, 2900 BC. And here is Pharaoh Sneferu showing his power over Canaanite enemies. We can see him here smiting a Canaanite man with his name here, Sneferu, and his golden Horus name. And all of this comes from such an arid and remote place. All of this just for some beautiful blue stones and a little bit of copper.
Many of the men working here were definitely of Phoenician and Canaanite origin. The site is littered in hieroglyphic inscriptions, yet this one is Proto-Sinaitic, clearly different. During Egypt's 12th dynasty, there was a large population of foreigners living in the country. and many of these foreigners believed to be of Semitic origin worked and mined here at Serabit El Khadim. And it is clear that they took Egyptian hieroglyphs and mixed them with their own language to create Proto-Sinaitic. This language spread through the trade done by the Phoenicians throughout the Mediterranean, eventually reaching Greece and forming the alphabet that we use today. The oldest roots of Proto-Sinaitic go back to the 12th dynasty during the reign of Pharaoh Amenemhat III around 1900 BC at Wadi Hol. This stela was erected by Horwera, the treasurer of Pharaoh Amenemhat III. Here he explains that in year 6 of Amenemhat III's reign, he and his men were sent to mine turquoise in the summer, which was unusual, as usually the men were sent in winter. And boy did those workers come back with some beautiful blue stones. For you see, in the 12th dynasty, in the reign of Pharaoh Amenemhat III, some of the most exquisite jewelry has been crafted in this period, all featuring stones of turquoise coming from Serabit El Khadim. Serabit was not only the seasonal home of these miners, it was also the home of many priests and noblemen sent to do the work of the pharaoh. This scene shows a visual representation of a nobleman burning incense before the god Khnum. Here, a finely dressed, bald-headed priest waves a feather fan in front of the name of Pharaoh Ramses II. Each priest, miner, and nobleman that came to this place wanted to leave their mark, erecting steles or leaving rock inscriptions, since arriving to this mountain must have been unimaginably difficult. And in the day, to seek refuge from the intense heat, many of these men and priests would come to the covered Temple of Hathor. The deity connected to this mountain, the Lady of Turquoise, is shown many times here, but here we see her in the form of a cow. The female cow is seen as a soft, nurturing, and protecting animal, and thus Hathor sometimes is even shown with the face of a woman and the ears of a cow. In the form of a cow, she takes on the form of a celestial deity, protecting the sun as it sets. Hathor takes on many forms and has many titles, but one of my favorite texts from here says, "She whose rays illuminate the whole world." Although this is the most special title of all, here Hathor is named as the Lady of Mefkat, or the Lady of Turquoise. Mefkat did not only refer to turquoise, it referred to any precious blue stone that was linked to the goddess. Many other deities make an appearance in the land of Hathor. Here we have Ptah, the god of the craftsmen and also healing. In the New Kingdom, especially around the reign of Ramses II, we see Amun-Min appearing here as well. Here is the lower half of Amun-Min, with the lower phallic features drawn in, which is quite unusual. He was the god of strength and the god of virility and fertility. Unlike other temples in Egypt, we know that this one was open to anybody, as inside there are many basins for cleaning the body before entering the sanctuary. But did the pharaohs ever make the journey to the mountain of Hathor?
From the names we found here as a graffiti, Amenhotep III, Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, Shishang, Ramses II, all of these guys or all of these kings, they were like builders. So they care a lot about mining in Sinai and to reflect kind of authority, kind of wealth, kind of caring about buildings in Egypt. Because to send the workers here to extract turquoise and copper, something not easy. So you have to support these workers or supply them with water, with guards, with food. So I think it's a mark of the greatness of those pharaohs who mentioned their names here and everywhere.
We know that not all pharaohs came to this site, but we do know that some made the pilgrimage even with their queens. By year 12, in 1267 BC of Ramses II's reign, he came here with his wife Nefertari. Nefertari, seen wearing the crown of Hathor, shaking two musical instruments, sistrums, with the face of Hathor on it, with her husband Ramses in front. They are shown giving offerings on their visit to Serabit. This taking place during a period where Ramses visited almost the whole country. Many years later, Ramses IV created himself a mortuary temple here. This could be him and his wife, however the name appears to have been changed. This could in fact be Pharaoh Horemheb with his wife Mutnojmet, the sister of Nefertiti. The pharaoh is the earthly reincarnation of the god Horus on earth. Horus was married to Hathor, and thus the pharaoh and the queen were Horus and Hathor on earth. That is why many pharaohs came here to leave their offerings to Hathor, and by doing so ensuring that both of these gods would know their piety and reward them. Pinchasi erected this stela for Pharaoh Amenhotep III in year 36 of his reign. Here Amenhotep III is shown offering to the god Sopdu. Amenhotep and Queen Tiye came here to collect turquoise to celebrate their third jubilee. Their son Akhenaten also features here. The name of the Aten is on the walls, and there is a stela showing the sun rays coming down, with the priests bowing before it with their heads in the dirt, something that only happened during Akhenaten's reign. Pharaoh Thutmose III ruled some many decades before that of Akhenaten. He too left his mark here. At the Grand Egyptian Museum, the world's largest museum dedicated to one civilization, here we find one object in particular from the reign of Hatshepsut. This wall panel comes all the way from Serabit El Khadim in Sinai. On the left is Hathor being offered an ankh by a pharaoh. Next to this pharaoh is Pharaoh Hatshepsut with her name written out, Ma'et Kara, an inscription that proves that Thutmose III on the left and Hatshepsut on the right had a co-regency. Hatshepsut led many expeditions out of Egypt, one in particular to the land of Punt. She even came here to Serabit El Khadim and left her mark in the sanctuary.
As we go into the back here at Serabit El Khadim, with all these beautiful stela just lying around. I mean, we have to walk over the ancient stones to get in. But this is the sacred cave of Hathor. And you know what I find so interesting about this cave? At the back would have been the statue which has now been moved of the goddess. We have the offering table. We even here have an inscription of the god's wife, Amun Em Hat. So this is actually coming from the 12th dynasty, this over here, of Pharaoh Amun-Em-Hat. So we have all these thousands of years inside this little cave. We have the offerings, and this is where the people who lived in this remote place would have come to worship the goddess that they called the Lady of Turquoise, the lady that they were mining the turquoise on behalf of for the pharaoh. It's a sad feeling and a happy feeling that to know that they could come in here and get refuge from the sun by coming and talking to the goddess Hathor.
Inside the sanctuary is where we will find a very unique scene of a pharaoh with a unique god. This tells us just how important one pharaoh was in particular.
Outside the cave of Hathor here at Serabit El Khadim, we have this very intriguing stela. We see this pharaoh over here, shown quite regal, the blue crown, the skirt. This would appear to be a man, but this is not a man. This is Pharaoh Hatshepsut. And her name is here, Ma'et Ka'ara, in the cartouche. And she's giving an offering of an incense cone to a very interesting goddess. We can tell here that this is a gift to the goddess, but the goddess's name here is Sara Meri, daughter of the sun, the happy one. And Sarah would usually be referred to as, the child, the son, or the daughter of the god Ra, which is reserved for the pharaoh. So it would appear that this goddess here might in fact be Hatshepsut, who has deified herself, like we see many other pharaohs doing.
To the right of Hathor's cave is a sanctuary dedicated to the god Sopdu. He was the protector of the eastern borders. This place, left in ruin, contains so many secrets and so many unanswered questions. Although the majority of the temple extensions come from the New Kingdom, it can be traced as far back as the 4th dynasty. Lined with columns, this shrine was built by Pharaoh Sneferu, his name very clearly on the wall. Yet behind Pharaoh Sneferu is a very interesting figure. This is a young prince, and this is possibly Pharaoh Khufu, the builder of the Great Pyramid. Yet if this was built before the death of Ra-Hotep, this could in fact show Ra-Hotep as the crowned prince and the then successor to Pharaoh Sneferu. And if that was Prince Khufu, that is the only wall image that we have of his face remaining. Sneferu ruled Egypt around 2600 BC. Here we see Sneferu standing among the gods, including Sopdu. Some Egyptologists suggest that this scene was dedicated to Sneferu in the 12th dynasty, yet there's no evidence of this. Sneferu had much turquoise mined here, and we know that he even gave some turquoise jewelry to his wife, Queen Hetepheres, for which Sneferu thanked Hathor. It feels almost like a dream that I've come here and seen such a beautiful place. But now we have to get back, and I'm still yet to find the Proto-Sinaitic inscriptions.
Well, after such a long hike up to get here to Serabit El Khadim, now we have to face the walk down the hill again. But unfortunately, the sun is going down, so this is going to be quite the adventure.
We are isolated in the middle of nowhere. The nearest hospital is over 50 kilometers away. I'm so happy we have Abdullah.
Abdullah, our guide, is the youngest guide I have in my life. He's an amazing guy. He's a Bedouin from Sinai.
Very good guy.
Very good, very polite, amazing.
And so the 3-hour trek begins. Walking along the same paths that the ancients used to reach here, we see some of the remnants of the temple building. It is very refreshing to be in a place that is so silent, only the sound of nature. I know Serabit El Khadim is not Mount Everest, but for me, it is a great accomplishment that I've been able to do this. It's probably one of the biggest moments of my life. It might sound a little melodramatic, but at one point I thought I would never be able to even get up here. For the past few years, I've struggled so much with problems with my back, with not being able to walk for weeks, having to inject myself with muscle relaxants, having problems with my vocal cords. All of this, I thought I would never be able to accomplish this. So for me, it is a great sense of accomplishment. and it is definitely something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. As the sunset illuminates the sky with gold, it reminds me of the story of Hathor protecting the sun as it sets. They believed that as the sun sets, the darkness hid many terrifying things. The sun god Ra faced many challenges, stopping him from rising the next day. Out here, the darkness is so dark, it is unlike anything I've ever experienced.
Take care, maybe there's some snakes.
Yeah, they like to go under the rocks at night to hold the heat from the day.
Oh my God, I want to go camp now. There's also, I hear there's some wolves here in Sinai.
Wolves, jackals, and maybe hyenas now.
Aha.
Where's the road?
Aha.
This way.
We should blame this guy who brought us here. What's his name?
I don't know the guy. I don't know his name.
Yes, his name starts by C and end by S. Oh
Never
my.
heard of him.
Hi.
La Inglés. Sabat,
Yes,
watch your steps.
thank you.
Tomorrow there's nothing like this.
Nothing like this.
Yeah, himself.
Who made this test?
It's a very easy experience for the tourists.
No, the young guys.
No, I was thinking the 80-year-olds. We might need help here. Let me.
Yeah, my leg. Habibi.
The steps are also loose.
My leg.
Let's go, Sabat.
Okay.
This is an arduous task, going down the mountain, and it's made even more perilous in the dark. Yet, we forget about this, as now we are on the search for Proto-Sinaitic. But it seems the dark will make it more difficult to find.
Walking at night, we've even seen here a cartouche. We can see the S sign and a seated woman. Here is graffiti. It's incredible. And right here, if I can climb up at the back, here, where is it? The snake, the horned viper, the F and T. We still have all of this to do.
Will not die in decent way if a snake bite me and I can't find a vaccine.
Finally, after 2 hours of walking, we have found what we've been looking for.
Throughout this valley, we will find carvings. We see the boat over here. We can see the gazelle. But here we have Proto-Sinaitic, the script written over here. It's very difficult to make out right now, but it's there. There's even more. This is the clearest. This is what we came here for. Proto-Sinaitic. And look, up there we have the goats from this region. We have a crocodile, snake, a circle. These are hieroglyphs, but they are not correct. Some of them are not ancient Egyptian glyphs. This is the origin of the alphabet that the Phoenicians took from ancient Egypt. All along here, look, this means place. Just people practicing their scripts. Look, this means scribe. These three mean scribe. And then
Yes, a scribe, yeah.
Pet Neter could be his name. This is the man seated, and he's a scribe. And he left his mark here. The ankh, the fish, the stars. All of this. And this is where our modern alphabet
Come from.
was born. Yeah, comes from here. Wow, look, Min. Min, and it's Nefer Nesut. You see there? Nefer Nesut on Min. All of the, look. Second intermediate period.
Oh my God.
Second intermediate period. Place of Hathor.
How we know it's second intermediate period?
From the style, you can tell it's very badly made compared to everything else. And it doesn't have the chipping like these. It's more smooth. This is from just after Senusert III. Look at this, Nami. All the people coming here, leaving their mark. Look, more Proto-Sinaitic. You can see the difference between here
And
and
here, yes,
hieroglyphs.
it's more advanced. This one more advanced. This one very primitive.
This is from the beginning of this site.
Meriru. Meriru. Nitru. Sin.
Sin. Ptah. Ptahu M. Hotep. M. Hotep.
Imhotep, yeah. Imhotep, yeah.
So they even knew M. Hotep here.
Yeah. And another graffiti over there.
Gazelles.
They call that, the Bedouin called that the ships.
The ships.
So the guy, when he called his father, he kept coming to me at the ship's point.
Ah.
Yeah.
Look.
Because these ships.
An ostrich. Oh, yeah.
Gazal, Saber, look at this.
Look at the
I think it is from different eras.
different dynasties.
Hundreds of years. Meri Neb Imira or F. Imira?
Amun Iset. Pharaoh. Pero is the glyph for Pharaoh.
Oh my God.
Right there is Pharaoh.
We are
So much.
2025 and we do a lot of this effort. Despite we have 4x4, we have Tiye, we have water, we have iPhone, and we suffered. What about these people who lived here since thousands of years?
I feel so bad for these guys.
No, I feel sympathy with them. I feel how great they were to come such a place with all of these difficulties.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We've seen what we came for, but we still have to get back to camp.
Oh, we still have so far to go, Lami.
Yes, sir. So far. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Are you okay?
I'm okay, Lami. These stones are cursed. We have to go.
Yes, let's go, let's go. I don't like to stay here anymore. That's it.
After 3 hours up and down Serabit El Khadim, I am so ready to sit down and enjoy a Bedouin meal. Ra is victorious, and the sun lives to rise another day. Now it is time to leave beautiful Sinai behind.
You can imagine we came all of this distance in one day from Sinai up to Western Desert, like 8-hour drive.
Excited, Lami?
Yes. Super excited.
Welcome.
With the thoughts of Serabit El Khadim and the mountain of Hathor in Sinai still fresh in my mind, I am so excited to see what the future has in store. So for now, I move on to my next adventure. Where that is? Well, you will just have to wait and see.
The population worshipped many gods and even wrote special letters to the gods with their prayers. At Deir el-Medina, several goddesses appear in the life-giving tree. A cow goddess in a tree pouring out libations, Hathor, one of the most popular gods, especially during the new 19th dynasty. During the 19th dynasty, the presence of Hathor was immense. Apart from being the goddess of love and beauty, she became the Lady of the West and in some cases replaced Anubis to lead you to Osiris. This is a loving scene between Hathor and the second pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, the father of Ramses II, Seti I. The most amazing piece, yet it's not actually very well looked after. It should be inside a glass case. It's from the tomb of Seti I, found by Giovanni Belzoni. In 1871, the Italian explorer Giovanni Belzoni discovered the longest tomb in the Valley of the Kings. The craftsmen of Seti's reign, in my opinion, were the highest skilled of all, paying attention to even the smallest details. The pharaoh's name in beautiful technicolor standing next to Hathor. These subtle contours on the body of the pharaoh exude elegance. Hathor's decorated hair fit for a goddess, and the pharaoh's golden sandals with his long, elegant feet. The king holding hands with the lady of the West. Due to the humid European conditions, much of the paint is dissolving away. From a four-sided pillar, the twin of this scene can be found in the Louvre in Paris. Preserved in a glass case, the colors are faithfully visible today. Seti I, one of the most prolific pharaohs, maintained Egypt's wider borders. He venerated the gods and started the biggest building project in the land, expanding Egypt's economy and laying out the foundations for his son and future pharaoh, Ramses II. The village of Deir el-Medina was founded to house the workmen and their families who built the tombs for the royals on the western bank of the Nile. This unique place allows us an interesting look into their everyday lives. We might think of furniture as something modern, but here, in this display case, we have examples from Deir el-Medina with such amazing details that we think of as modern, such as window shutters. Here we have window shutters from 3,400 years ago, from the village that Amenhotep I founded, Deir el-Medina. We are incredibly lucky that much of the furniture from Deir el-Medina remains, from exquisite daybeds to the baskets that they would carry livestock in, to small objects like this fly swatter to provide a different kind of comfort, and the chair of a noble with the legs of a lion. The people of Deir el-Medina lived in relatively more comfortable situations than the general public, as they served the pharaoh and the royal family directly. Many of the pieces from Deir el-Medina were found by Champollion and Rossolini. However, some of the pieces were found by the founder of the Egyptian section of the Archaeological Museum, Ernesto Schiaparelli. He found many pieces that are familiar to us today, like dice, a tomb worker's satchel, and a delicate woman's handbag. Party life at Deir el-Medina was filled with the sounds of harps, flutes, lyres, and percussion. Amenhotep I brought about a new age in funerary practices. This mummified form of the pharaoh inside a stone sarcophagus would do his work in the afterlife. These new forms go back to the tradition of funerary figurines. As now the Egyptians believed you needed to do the work yourself, these figurines could be woken up and made to do the job for you. Along with papyrus and wall inscriptions, these figurines would assist you to make your next life more comfortable. They would only place one of these inside your tomb as your double, hence why they are in the form of your mummy. This early 18th dynasty practice was short-lived and soon replaced by hundreds of figurines inside the tomb to do your bidding. These servants of the dead were called shabtis. Each shabti had a specific role written out on its body in sacred magical texts. Nefertari, a vizier in the early 18th dynasty, had this shabti wearing a special ceremonial cloak in the form of himself placed in his final resting place. The tomb in the 18th dynasty became the House of Eternity. A short-lived practice was having the owners of the tomb carved onto the wall, greeting their mummified body as it arrived during the funeral. Home and tomb paintings became very elaborate around the reign of Thutmose III. This style could be seen due to an influx of people from other countries bringing tribute to Egypt. These pattern textiles from the foreigners had a big artistic influence. A tomb fragment from the time of Thutmose III shows a bald man with a full beard, very un-Egyptian. He is most likely from the land of Amuru. During this time, gifts flowed in from all around Egypt, as its empire had largely expanded. Copper from Assyria, gold from Nubia, silver from Greece, and ivory from Punt. In tombs such as these, the differences between the cultures are very noticeable, yet the similarities shine through. A young Egyptian boy held by the arm, and a Nubian boy held in the same position by his father. In life, some women of a higher class could have attendants helping them to fulfill their every wish. From preparing meals to helping with hair and makeup. Egyptian servants were well respected and in many cases became part of the family. Female servants were given clothing, housing, and many other benefits. You see, in ancient Egypt, women had many more equal rights than any other civilization, then or now. These ancient women were allowed to work, make decisions about the family, inherit, own property, and marry whomever so they wished. Monogamy was generally practiced by everyday people in Egypt, apart from the pharaoh who was allowed to have multiple wives. There are the odd exceptions, such as the scribe Humasha, who had his 2 wives shown on this marriage statue. This rare statue shows his 2 wives, their 5 children, their 2 grown-up daughters, and their 2 grandchildren. In the 18th and 19th dynasty, marriage statues became common practice. Usually, a marriage statue shows a couple holding each other by the waist. However, this is a supportive statue showing the whole family holding each other by the shoulders. Just like today, not all marriages end happily. Tiye, the wife of the treasurer of Amun, had her husband deliberately chiseled out of their marriage statue. Women and men in ancient Egypt were allowed to divorce on grounds of many causes, from adultery to theft. If you got divorced, it was customary to have the spouse who had wronged you removed from any statue or image. Cutting a mark on the face, such as the eyes, nose, or mouth, would take away the person's spirit that was attached to that image. Not all objects in a museum need to be on a grand scale to be classified as a masterpiece. This woman is one of my absolute favorites. Although much of her is missing, such as her arms, inlaid eyes, nose, mouth, and clip-on linen, the carving on this 18th dynasty woman is exquisite. Spanning from pre-dynastic times until the late period, concubines of the dead were small female figurines placed in men's tombs to fulfill sexual and reproductive needs in the next life. The time of conceiving children and giving birth was some of the most interesting and dangerous times to the ancient Egyptians. Protecting the female fertility was paramount. These strange ivory boomerang-shaped objects were crucial during childbirth. In essence, they were a magic wand to draw a protective spell around the pregnant woman. The hippo goddess Tawaret became the protector of feminine pregnancy. Many women sought out Tawaret to help them conceive and protect their birth. A blue faience hippo in the form of Tawaret, decorated with Nile plant life, is a reminder of the ferocious energy a female hippo uses to protect her young. The principal wife of Thutmose III, Merit-Ra, is often shown in the guise of the goddess Hathor, the goddess of love, beauty, music, and motherhood. This unusual stela shows Merit-Ra and Thutmose III on the right appearing as the god Amun-Min, Min being the representative of male fertility and virility. With his erect circumcised penis shown together, these two symbolically represent the prosperity of the land. Under Thutmose III, Hathor gained a high prevalence. Many people were shown in the process of becoming one with Hathor, applying makeup. A great thing is that we have some of these mirrors that we see shown in the tombs to provide us with an even stronger connection to these people. We even have their eyeliner that they used to use in everyday life. But looking good wasn't enough. You had to smell good too, and everybody in ancient Egypt desired perfume. Certain smells and certain cosmetics were connected with different events and different deities. This cosmetic box belonged to an old man who had different eyeliners inside each vial for a different purpose. Cosmetics in Egypt were big business. The richest people had the most luxurious cosmetics, including many different types of perfumes and face creams. The poorer people simply used kohl to apply to the eyes.
Often these nobles depicted themselves in family scenes, dressed in finery. Like this man, dressed in his best clothing and a beautiful wig. Wigs were common in ancient Egypt, and almost everybody wore them. And most stored them on wig holders like this. Hair was very important in ancient Egypt, and sometimes different hairstyles could connect you to different deities. The ancients loved to use their cosmetics, men and women alike. Often they wore many different kinds of makeup, and applying makeup was almost like a ritual, saying, "Please give me beautiful eyes," like the goddess Hathor. Of course, you can't just apply this willy-nilly. The ancient Egyptians had polished pieces of silver or copper that they used as mirrors and stored them in beautiful boxes like this one. But following events was about to turn Egypt upside down. Nefertari. She is one of just a few queens to have an entire temple dedicated to her by her husband and Pharaoh.
The smaller temple at Abu Simbel, yet it's the more beautiful one. It's the first time I've ever been in here by myself. I have time to observe the face of Hathor, the face of Nefertari, inside this beautiful temple. But my favorite scene is further down here. It is the inner sanctum with the statue of Hathor coming out. Nefertari underneath the chin of Hathor. Over here is Ramses giving offerings to both of them. And around the side over here is Ramses and Nefertari seated on the throne of Egypt, shown at the same height, shown as equals.
This scene would suggest that Nefertari was a co-regent with Ramses at one point. She was in charge of the politics when her husband was away at war. One event would cause Ramses to change everything. While he was away, there was an attempted attack on Nefertari.
Nefertari even accompanied Ramses II into several battles. A strong woman behind her even stronger husband. She's shown here supporting him, wearing a beautiful dress with the long hair and the beautiful looped earrings. Next to her is Ramses smiting his enemy. They are quite a team, I would say. On the other side of the temple, we can see another scene of Ramses and Nefertari at battle, this time not with the people of Amurru, but the people of Nubia. Ramses smiting the Nubian man by holding up by his hair.
This smiting was overseen by Amun, who offers Ramses his sword.
And the beautiful Nefertari shown wearing a short wig, again supporting her husband. And we know that she accompanied him on at least 2 battles. She was quite a phenomenal woman.
A very strong female presence is in this temple, not only through the gods, but through Nefertari's image repeated over and over. She wears the mother goddess crown of Mut. Ramses shown wearing the horns of Amun, connecting these two spiritually. The king holds out incense. This act would have been for eternity, as when people walk down the center, he's burning incense for the offerings coming to his great royal wife. Nefertari selected the other wives for Ramses. We can see that these two had a strong bond, not only for their love, but for their country. Above the queen is the name of Ramses, and above Ramses is the name of the queen. They were equal.
Inside Nefertari's temple, with the columned hall with Hathor and Ramses and Nefertari repeated several times, we see Ramses giving offerings to the gods to ensure a peaceful life for him and his wife. We see Nefertari again shaking the sistrum before Hathor, with Ramses right behind Hathor, wearing the horns of Amun, offering to Ra. In this hallway here, we can see Ramses giving an offering on this side to Hathor, shown in the barge. Yet, repeated on the other side of this temple is Nefertari performing the exact same role as her pharaoh husband, Ramses II. Here is Nefertari offering lotus and papyrus to Hathor on the barge in the marshes. The crowning of Nefertari. Here we see Hathor, we see Isis, and they are placing the crown of Mut, upon a young Nefertari. In this way, they are proving that Nefertari has become a goddess.
We know that Ramses was not born of a royal family line. He was born in the north, in Avaris. Nefertari was born in Luxor, in Thebes, or Wasset. There is slight evidence to suggest that Nefertari's family were of noble origins in Thebes. She was the perfect wife for Ramses, not only beautiful, not only intelligent, she could secure Ramses' future to becoming a fully fledged god. By marrying a woman of such stature, it proved to the gods and the public that he was worthy.
Ramses II, shown with the god Set, the god of chaos. They are both here because on the other side we have Horus, the balance, making the pharaoh a balanced ruler, showing the chaos and the justice coming together. And of course, Ramses II was born in Avaris, a Hyksos capital, where the god Set was revered. Even Ramses' father's name was Seti. So this is a rare image of seeing Set and Horus placing the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt on the pharaoh.
Here, Ramses writes a dedication where he says that Nefertari is the one for whom the sun shines. He wanted to show the importance of his wife, and thus he put these two statues of her on the facade at the same height as himself.
Standing next to their parents are the children of Ramses and Nefertari. Here is a young prince. On this side is another young prince, shown with their beautiful side lock of youth. And what's interesting is, beneath the father, we have the sons. And next to the mother, we have the daughters. And here are Ramses and Nefertari's daughters, the young princesses.
It's heartbreaking that Nefertari never saw these temples completed, as they reflect her name, the most beautiful of them all. Shortly after the death of Cleopatra, during the Roman rule, settlements out in the oases of Egypt continued their mummification practices. This set of mummies is an example of a rich family who would export wine to the Mediterranean. Wine was a lucrative business, and this allowed for the family to have their death masks made of gold, like the Golden Father shown with his full beard. The people living in Egypt at this time had a mix of Egyptian, Greek, and Roman funerary customs, exemplified in these lifelike clay death masks made to resemble the deceased.
Not often do we actually get examples of Egyptians using different colored eyeliners and eye makeup. Usually it's just black, but here we can see the green pigment. And what's so amazing, this is a woman from the Roman period, and she's shown wearing bracelets of two serpents in a similar style to what we find generally at Pompeii. And on her death mask, her hair has actually been glued into place so that she could be connected to the goddess Hathor to get into the afterlife, because one of the wishes for the ancient Egyptians to get into the afterlife was to be connected with Hathor. And if you were connected with the goddess of beauty and motherhood, well, she would put in a good word for you with Anubis and Osiris and get you fast-tracked, because you are beautiful enough to be with the gods.
The goddess Hathor was one of the most important deities since the beginning of Egyptian history. On this box from the 19th dynasty, 3,300 years ago, we see a goddess in the tree giving the water of life to a deceased woman and her spirit. Often, the tree goddess was associated with Hathor. In this time, Hathor was often shown as a cow on the hill of Deir el-Medina. In the 19th dynasty, Hathor was referred to as the Lady of the West being the realm of the dead.